Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Welcome back.
So, guys, we see Category 5. Yeah, Category 5, Hurricane Iota. And we had talked about this like 3 or 4 times now, that it's going to be hitting an area that has just already been slammed. And, in these times, it just is incredible because here you go, another one that rapidly intensifies to the highest category.
It feels so unfair, but you can't talk to nature about fairness.
But is it nature? That's the question.
Right.
Is it nature? Because, all these records going down, and of course we could say, well, grand solar minimum, magnetic pole reversal or excursion underway. And we could even look at things from a karmic standpoint because of, how we've mistreated the earth so badly. Yet we know that there's technologies out there, and everything that we see going on is just, again, it's going to make more and more people dependent on relief, more and more people dependent on help. And help from who?
Right. It's just not right.
It really just seems to me a little bit unlikely, even with these the one after another, and again, let's put our intention and our prayers out there, that this won't be as catastrophic as it appears it's going to be. Here we are, we're well into November. The water should be cooling off. The storm should be starting to, well, we have had just record after record, and now you have the strongest storm of the year so late in the season. And it did reach Category 5 strength, the first storm of the season to reach the highest status on the Stafford-Simpson hurricane wind scale. Its winds peaked at 160 miles an hour on Monday morning. Just hours earlier, the record-breaking 30th named storm of the season had strengthened from a Category 2 storm to a Category 4 within an hour's time.
That is insane.
Yeah, I just got to say, I got my doubts here that this is Mother Nature taking revenge on us all. It feels like there's something else going on, obviously. So, its intensification ranks among 3 other historical hurricanes: Gilbert in 1988, Rita in 2005, and Wilma in 2005. Also, Iota became the only storm to strengthen rapidly, with its central barometric pressure dropping by 1.8 inches of mercury, millibars, in 24 hours in November. Again, I'm a little bit speechless that people aren't questioning these things a little bit more maybe than they are.
Well, I kind of feel that they are, but the voices are probably being quieted.
And, questioning, and then, just also it seems like, unfortunately, I know we're all wrapped up in everything that's going on geopolitically, but I think we have to also, put our intention, our prayers, and our hearts, out there for these people that are suffering. This is a huge humanitarian crisis developing across Central America. Millions are being affected by this. And, you can have waterborne diseases after you have things like this going on. Of course, we have the plague upon the land. As we talked about it, wiping out 50% of the banana crop. Is this going to be the other 50%?
Right. I know we need to send a lot of energy to these people.
Exact same area again, In the olden times, people would say this is the wrath of God, yes. But yet, I don't think it has anything to do with God.
I don't either.
No, not at all. So over here we also have 800,000 homes without power as severe storms hit Midwest and Northeast U.S. Intense storms with amazing wind damage that went on as well. 76-mile-an-hour winds across much of the Midwest and Northeastern regions, power outages, flooding, property damage. And there's quite a bit of photos here for you to take a look at. So that's a billboard that fell on a mobile station on Route 5 in Lackawanna. And we see wind-driven Lake Erie being pushed up onto the parking lots, and this is over in Buffalo. And barges ended up getting loosed, and that's happened before a lot of times due to the winds. Recently, we've seen this time and time again. Tons of damage. There's video here too. Yeah, the storms are definitely getting stronger. And we see over here, this was Typhoon Vamco. Death toll rises to 67 in the Philippines. And we talked about how the Philippines and Vietnam have been hit, one after another, twice as much as the U.S. was hit this year. And the U.S. had a record as far as landfalls. And so you got more than 1.7 million affected. And again, this is going to add to the crop loss. This is going to add to everything going on. It is, a sad state again. So again, we'll send our prayers and best intentions to everybody over there.
Yes, please.
It's been just a massive season that we have seen. And again, I've shared with you guys, over the years, I've become a little bit more of a mountain person, but I'm definitely a beach person. Yeah. I love the beach. I feel so good at the beach, although, like yesterday was wonderful. I appreciate the mountains more all the time. I think in these times, though, coastal areas, you have to realize the danger of being in a coastal area. And for many people, they're just going to accept it and they're just going to keep going on. And if something happens, then it happens, and they're just going to live their life the way they want to. Other people will say, well, we've been hit, like in the case of Vietnam, I think 21 storms, but what so many of these people too, unfortunately, are in poverty and in conditions where they really, they don't have too much of a choice. In some of these areas, it's all very, very much low-lying. So it's going to be prone to this.
Right. It's an unfortunate situation, and these people, they're just doing the best they can with what they got.
So you see this quote, we need to make noise for this too. Urgency is needed. There's so many people right now in desperate straits as we see just how flooded it is. Facing the loss of everything and then also being homeless, as you see, so much of this area is submerged. This is the highest flood record in decades. And you see, QiGong Valley is sinking, literally. There are some areas which are sinking. There's going to be massive, massive changes. And again, the scientists are going to tell us, well, these things happen slowly. But if you really look at it, there's a lot of cities that are underwater around the globe, and things may not happen as slowly as people think.
Well, yeah, if I've been kind of watching this for the last 3 years, and seriously, this year is the absolute worst.
Yeah, and so, there's a lot of people tweeting, they're begging for help. It's definitely a sad situation. We have a 6.1 in Mindanao in the Philippines as well, strong and shallow. And so the epicenter was about 4.5 miles south-southwest of Maratag, population about 3,800 people. And the Philippines, of course, they also get hit with a lot of earthquakes, very, very active as far as the earthquake activity over there. And here we see for the skiers out there, it looks like it's going to be a good year. And this is in Idaho, a record early 3.25 feet of snow at Idaho's Bogus Basin, sign of a big winter to come. And of course, that's going to make all the skiers very happy.
Oh, yeah, they're going to have a great time.
Were you ever over there?
Well, I've skied in Idaho before. It's fun.
I've never skied, guys. Never, ever skied. Did a lot of sledding as a kid. Ran into a couple trees. Yeah. And I know some people are going to say, oh, that explains him.
Well, mostly I was just on the bunny hill, but, it's all fun.
It is. And meanwhile, Pakistan reports record November snowfall as the records keep falling. And there is something about getting out in the woods when the snow first comes down. I love that. And I love seeing the animal tracks.
Yeah, it's so fresh and beautiful.
And as we had talked about, Africa is breaking up. It really, literally is breaking apart. and it's going to form a new ocean, and Madagascar is going to be breaking up into smaller islands as well, as the world is going to be remade yet again.
Wow.
But don't worry, scientists say it might take 5 to 10 million years. But is that the case, or is it going to look like that, say, in 2100?
I'm thinking it's going to look like that sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we know the Kenyan Rift, and we can see what's happening. There's been just massive, massive cracks that have formed. And Kenya, Uganda, it's a process. It is a process, but it doesn't mean it's going to necessarily take 5 to 10 million years. How about Atlantis and Lemuria and other civilizations as well that have just kind of disappeared in the blink of an eye?
Yep, that's very curious.
Very curious. And so, I'm going to jump over to this one first. They found an ancient statue of Hermes. Interesting. Hermes, Hermeticism. Hermes is the Greek god and the messenger of the gods, equated with Mercury. Some equate with Thoth. Some have even equated with Ganesha in some ways. But anyway, they found this bust of Hermes, only about 4.5 feet underground. And this one dates back to about the 4th century BC. So when we're looking at this sculpture, who was Hermes? I mean, is he literally the personality of a planet like Mercury? Or was he perhaps an Atlantean? Was he perhaps an extraterrestrial? What is the real story?
Maybe a demigod?
Yes, maybe a demigod as well. And here we see everyone is outraged and sad. Canada shocked by the killing of a rare white moose by poachers. It's a sad situation, and we see so much that goes on over in Africa, with the same sort of situation with elephants. And of course, these moose are really rare. And so that's why people are very upset. It's kind of like, if a red heifer is born and a hunter goes and gets it.
Right, that's just wrong.
Yeah, I mean, they're taken as sacred by many. And it's just a sad, sad situation. And this gentleman was lost on Mount Rainier when he had whiteout conditions, and he didn't know what really happened. It got so bad that he couldn't see where he was going. He believes he must have fell. And they did find him, and actually he had been dead, clinically dead, but he was brought back. And it's kind of a miracle there.
Yeah, he still looks a little concerned. I would be too.
Yeah, most definitely. Can you imagine that, being in that whiteout situation and hiking, and all of a sudden you can't see? I was sharing with you last night. I used to go often, and I'd go hiking, especially whenever the snow would come. It would just get me excited. So I'd be heading off, even if I knew it was a little bit late in the day. And then often, it would be getting dark, and I'd be so far in, I'd be like thinking, wow, I shouldn't have done this. I should have taken a little more care. Well, thankfully he made it through, even though he was clinically dead.
Thank goodness he made it.
As always, guys, thanks for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. Again, let's send our intentions, best wishes and prayers for the people in Central America there that are facing a Category 5 monster.
Please do, yes.
God bless and namaste.
Namaste.